In the sleepy town of Eldridge Hollow, a thick mist clung to the ground as if holding secrets from the dawn. The remnants of night still lingered in the dim light, casting eerie shadows against the weathered facades of old brick buildings that lined the cobblestone streets. At the heart of this quiet town stood a clock tower, its hands frozen at 3 o'clock, a silent testament to the time that had long since passed. Among the townsfolk, whispers floated through the air like stray leaves in the wind, each one carrying tales of an elusive artist whose paintings were rumored to capture the very essence of dreams. Among those townsfolk was Elara, a young woman with hair like spun gold and eyes that flickered with the fire of ambition. She lived in a modest cottage at the edge of the town, surrounded by wildflowers that danced in the gentle breeze. Elara had long held a dream close to her heart: to become a renowned painter, to breathe life onto canvas, and to escape the mundane confines of her reality. Yet, as she walked the familiar path to her easel each day, her hopes felt as fragile as the petals of the flowers that surrounded her. The mornings were often punctuated by the sound of her brush gliding over the canvas, the vibrant colors blending to form images that told stories of worlds beyond Eldridge Hollow. Yet, despite her talent, her dreams often felt like distant stars, beautiful but unattainable. The townspeople, while kind, were steeped in tradition, their eyes blind to the creative spirit that flickered within her. They were not unkind. Rather, they were protective of their ways, valuing conformity over innovation. They saw her artistry as a whimsical distraction, a folly that would lead her nowhere. But Elara was not one to be easily deterred. She took solace in her art, allowing it to be her sanctuary against the stifling norms of her community. She found refuge in the hues of sunset and the quiet murmur of the forest that surrounded her home. Every stroke of her brush was a silent rebellion, a testament to her individuality in a world that demanded adherence to tradition. Her solitude was interrupted one day by the arrival of a stranger in town. He was a traveling painter named Lysander, with raven black hair and an intensity in his gaze that spoke of passion and pain. He had come to Eldridge Hollow seeking inspiration, drawn by the tales of the mysterious artist who had captured the imagination of the townsfolk. When Elara first met him at the local market, she was captivated by his presence. They exchanged pleasantries, and she felt a spark of recognition in the depths of her soul, as if they were kindred spirits adrift in a sea of conformity. As the days passed, Elara found herself drawn to Lysander, sharing with him her hopes and fears, her struggles and dreams. He listened intently, his eyes reflecting a depth of understanding that she had longed for. Together, they explored the breathtaking landscapes surrounding Eldridge Hollow, the vibrant fields and the ancient trees whispering secrets of their own. Lysander's encouragement ignited a fire within Elara, pushing her to experiment with her art in ways she had never dared to before. Yet, their blossoming friendship was met with skepticism from the townsfolk. Whispers turned into harsh judgments, claiming that Elara was being led astray by the outsider, that she was straying too far from the values of her upbringing. The weight of their disapproval hung heavy in the air, casting a shadow over Elara's newfound courage. Each brushstroke became a battleground, each canvas a reminder of the turmoil that brewed within her. Elara grappled with her identity. Was she to remain the dutiful daughter of Eldridge Hollow, or was she destined for something greater? The conflict within her intensified as she found herself torn between the loyalty she felt toward her hometown and the dreams that pulsed within her veins like a wild river seeking freedom. Lysander became her ally in the struggle, urging her to embrace her art unapologetically. He shared tales of artists who had faced ridicule and rejection, but whose works had ultimately transcended their circumstances, leaving an indelible mark on the world. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow across the landscape, Elara stood before her canvas, her heart racing. She felt an unfamiliar surge of inspiration, a voice whispering within her, urging her to pour her soul onto the canvas. With each stroke, she painted her dreams, her fears, her desires, an explosion of color that mirrored the chaos within her heart. It was a piece that embodied her journey, a vivid tapestry of the struggle between conformity and individuality. But just as she was on the brink of completion, a thunderous voice echoed from behind her. It was the mayor, a figure of authority in Eldridge Hollow, accompanied by several townsfolk who had gathered to witness her latest creation. His expression was a mix of disbelief and anger as he surveyed the chaotic masterpiece before him. "This is not art, Elara. This is madness," he declared, his voice reverberating with authority. "You have embarrassed yourself and your family with this nonsense. We hold tradition dear in this town, and you are tarnishing our legacy." The words struck Elara like a physical blow, igniting a storm of emotions within her. Doubt crept in, wrapping around her heart like a vice. Was she truly betraying her roots? But as she looked at the canvas, she saw not chaos, but the very essence of her spirit, unbridled and fierce. Lysander stepped forward, his voice steady and defiant. "Art is not meant to be confined within the walls of tradition. It is an expression of the self, a reflection of the world through one's own eyes." Elara's work speaks to the truth that lies within her soul. The mayor's face flushed with anger, but Elara felt a shift within herself, a new sense of clarity emerging from the shadows. She took a deep breath, her voice trembling but resolute. "This is my truth, and I will not apologize for it. I refuse to bury my dreams beneath the weight of tradition. Art is meant to challenge, to provoke thought, and to inspire change. If I am to be an artist, I must be true to myself, even if it means standing alone." The townsfolk murmured among themselves, their expressions shifting from judgment to contemplation. Elara's heart raced, the tension in the air palpable as she faced the mayor, the embodiment of the traditions that threatened to suffocate her. In that moment, she understood that the path to her dreams would not be without struggle, but she felt an ember of hope flickering within her. The confrontation left a profound impact on the town. Some began to see Elara's art not as a threat, but as an opportunity for growth. They realized that the heart of Eldridge Hollow could expand to embrace new perspectives without losing its essence. But there were still those who clung to the past, unwilling to accept the changes that were unfolding. As weeks turned into months, the conflict in Eldridge Hollow simmered. Elara's art began to draw visitors from nearby towns, each captivated by the raw emotion that radiated from her canvases. The whispers of disapproval grew quieter, but there was still an undercurrent of tension in the air. The mayor, sensing his power slipping, rallied his supporters, aiming to stifle Elara's growing influence. In a twist of fate, a prominent art critic visited Eldridge Hollow, drawn by the whispers of Elara's work. His presence sent ripples of excitement through the town, but it also deepened the divide. The critics saw in Elara's art the potential for greatness, a chance for the town to break free from its chains of conformity. His praise ignited a spark of hope within Elara, but it also fueled the mayor's determination to regain control. In a climactic town meeting, tensions reached a boiling point. The mayor stood before the gathered townsfolk, his voice dripping with contempt as he denounced Elara and her art. "This outsider has come to lead our children astray. We must preserve our traditions, or risk losing ourselves entirely." The crowd was split, some murmuring in agreement, while others stood in support of Elara, their faces alight with determination. Feeling the weight of their gaze upon her, Elara stepped forward, her heart pounding in her chest. "I am not here to destroy our traditions," she implored. "I am here to enrich them. Art does not exist in a vacuum. It thrives in the interplay of ideas, in the acceptance of diverse perspectives. We can honor our past while embracing the future." The room fell silent. Tension thick in the air as the mayor glared at her, his authority challenged. The critic seized the moment, adding his voice to the mix. Art is a living, breathing entity. It evolves and adapts, much like the world around us. If Eldritch Hollow wishes to thrive, it must learn to welcome change, not resist it. In that moment, something shifted in the crowd. The town was at a crossroads, a pivotal point where the past collided with the future. The passionate clash of ideals ignited a fire within the townsfolk, and one by one, they began to speak up, sharing their thoughts and experiences, revealing the dreams they had buried beneath layers of tradition. As the meeting unfolded, Elara felt a surge of hope washing over her. The atmosphere crackled with the energy of possibility, a chorus of voices rising to challenge the status quo. And then, as the final words were spoken, a transformation occurred. The mayor, realizing that his grip on the town was slipping, took a step back, a flicker of doubt crossing his face. The tide had turned. In the aftermath of the meeting, the landscape of Eldritch Hollow began to change. Elara's art was no longer met with scorn, but was celebrated for the conversations it sparked and the connections it forged. The townsfolk began to see her not as a disruptor, but as a beacon of hope, a reminder that they could embrace their heritage while also reaching for the stars. As seasons passed, Elara and Lysander worked side by side, their art flourishing as they painted murals that adorned the town's walls, each one a testament to the power of resilience and the beauty of self-expression. The transformation was palpable. Eldritch Hollow became a canvas of color and creativity, drawing visitors from far and wide, eager to witness the artistic revival. But the journey had not been without its trials. Elara faced moments of doubt, fears that the changes might not last, that the town might revert to its old ways. Yet, each time she dipped her brush into paint, she felt the heartbeat of her dreams pushing her forward. Her art became a reflection of her growth, a tapestry woven with threads of struggle, hope, and unwavering determination. In the heart of Eldritch Hollow, beneath the watchful gaze of the once frozen clock tower, Elara held her first solo exhibition, an event that drew crowds from all around. The gallery was filled with vibrant colors and swirling emotions, each piece inviting viewers into her world. The townsfolk, who had once dismissed her, now stood in awe of her talent, their eyes reflecting pride and admiration. As she stood before her work, surrounded by friends and supporters, Elara felt a profound sense of fulfillment. The dream that had once felt distant was now a tangible reality, and the once silent corners of her heart burst forth with joy. In that moment, she knew she had not only transformed her own life, but had ignited a spark within Eldritch Hollow, a spark that would continue to burn bright for generations to come. And so, under the canopy of stars, amidst the whispers of creativity and possibility, Elara realized that her journey was far from over. The clock tower chimed midnight, a symbol of time moving forward, and she embraced the unknown future with open arms, ready to paint new stories on the canvas of life, forever changing the landscape of her heart and the town she loved.